everything is really the politics of funding the government right now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think increasingly the debt limit, right? Because
we seem to have moved in a week from the shutdown now to the debt limit, which is a week away.
Yeah, I mean, the consequences are potentially far more serious.
Which
for
means,
the debt limit.
Right.
Yeah.
Far more serious. But does that improve or not the chances for some resolution?
It definitely increases it. Whether or not we can get there, in time is the question. We'll get there, but it's just a question of what the consequences are. I was reading today, I think October or November 1 is, I think, when, or the end of October is really when Treasury's up against it and can't go any further without an increase. And I'm sure you'll see Tea Party guys talking about that. Hey, the 17th isn't really. But the problem is,
just a quick note on that. Maybe someone doesn't realize you don't have to wait until the very, very last minute to get something done, right? I mean,
if you get inside their head, I think they want to increase their leverage, blah, blah, blah. But the problem, I think, from even a conservative point of view, is that the more that you continue to go play with this, borrowing costs start to ratchet up, and that increases deficit and debt. So I think that's something that they'll have to confront in the debate.
I don't remember the exact numbers, but I was reading the polls this morning. The American people blame Republicans more than Democrats. I think it was like 45-35, the numbers
Sounds
that I
about
saw.
Right. Yeah.
Which is not like overwhelming, but still, there's no doubt that, and Karl Rove made this point yesterday on Fox News Sunday, that Republicans are going to bear the brunt of this political brunt of this shutdown. So why are they doing it?
Well, there's been a couple good pieces over the last few days, I think, that kind of get at the deeper reasons for this. One would have been Ross, I can't ever remember how to say his name, New York Times.
Duhat. I always say Duhat, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should have some caller
Douhat.
I know what it looks like on paper, but yeah, I can't say it.
Duhat. Anyway, he had a blog post last Wednesday where he talked about sort of the way that a lot of conservatives have felt that even going back to Reagan was sort of a bump in the road for the liberal, vision of government going forward from FDR forward. The government didn't really get that much smaller. Spending didn't.
Oh no,
really
it actually increased under Reagan.
Right.
Yeah, size of the federal government actually increased.
Right. Well, the size of the federal government, if you measure by spending a percentage of GDP, has stayed pretty constant since World War II. It's ratcheted up over the last several years, in large part because of the bailouts in 2008 and the stimulus. But a lot of conservatives, Duthot was pointing out, feel like it's just been continually compromised in the direction of the vision opposite them. And then actually Dan Balls from the Washington Post had a piece, I think, yesterday, where he talked a little bit more about that, but also measured more of the structural reasons, redistricting, greater concentration of liberals in cities, to kind of understand why we're rooted in this this dysfunction, which he quoted somebody saying it's worse than Reconstruction. So you have sort of on the one hand structural reasons why the two parties are further apart, see things more differently than ever in a long time, and then on the Republican side, you feel like, I think a lot of the conservatives feel like they haven't made much progress, and so they feel like we're going down the hole anyway from their point of view, so we need to just tear stuff up.
So we might as well take everybody else down with us, right? Well, here's the question.
I'm not sure that's how they think about it.
Yeah,
but that may end up being a short-term result.
So let's accept that that's their thinking, and that's why they're here, and that's what they want to do, right? But how many of them are there
in the House?
Yeah.
Well, estimates vary. I mean, there's as few as a dozen or 20 to 2 or 3 dozen.
Right.
I think it depends on the vote too.
Right. But no matter what number they're a relatively small percentage of the number of members of Congress, and they're a relatively small percentage of the Republican Party, and yet they are running the show. And it seems I mean, from an observer, right, that the Republican Party is letting the most extreme element of the Republican Party run the show.
Here's the thing. I think that the biggest difference...
And they are. I mean, John Boehner himself is not that kind of Republican, right? George Bush was not that kind of Republican. Karl Rove is not that kind of Republican. Mitch McConnell's not that kind of Republican.
I would agree with you to some degree on that. But I think the bigger divide between these two camps of Republicans is actually tactical. I think a lot of them agree on issues. I mean, John Boehner, the biggest issue for him is the debt. And he's been focused on that. I believe he would lose his speakership if he could get a grand bargain that upset, the base, the right that would want more. But he does share that concern with them. It's just a matter of intensity of feeling, I guess, and a lack of agreement over the means.
I disagree. I mean, I think that the majority of Republicans in this country and in the Congress want to resolve issues and want to solve problems and want to get things done.
I think we're saying the same
Tea Party
thing.
does not, John. They are not here to govern.
But
they are not here to make things better. They are here to destroy.
Well, I don't know if I believe that they want to destroy. I think they genuinely want to, bring about their vision of better governance. They may think that
their
to
vision
get
of
there,
better governance is no governance. Listen to what they say. They hate the government. That's why they ran.
Some
they
do.
Hate the
some
government.
do. Some do. Especially,
and they're the ones who are running the show.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about it.
They're having a lot of influence.